The glass has finally shattered at Pittodrie. Aberdeen have sacked Stephen Glass as their manager, but the big question is, how did it take this long? Yes, Stephen Glass has left his position as Aberdeen manager after less than a year at charge at Pittodrie. It didn't even last a year. That's how much this guy sucked. The 45-year-old former Dons player replaced Derek McInnes back in March 2021, and he didn't even make it until March 2022. Aberdeen currently sitting 9th in the Premiership with just 8 wins for 25 matches. It's not good enough, and I think the icing on the Stephen Glass departure cake was when Motherwell knocked them out of the Scottish Cup. I know a lot of Aberdeen fans aren't happy with just Aberdeen in general. I mean, the manager, the owner, how the club's run. Aberdeen fans are delusional and seem to think that they should be winning the league every single year, even though that's just not really a possibility. And it's sometimes you need to be careful what you wish for, because last year, Derek McInnes, who was a great manager for Aberdeen, one of the most successful Aberdeen managers in the history of the club. Results, history doesn't lie. He was a good manager. He was successful at Aberdeen, but they wanted him out. They hounded him out. They finally got him out, and they got their new manager. They got Stephen Glass. We were promised attacking football, nice to watch football, and I don't think there was anything nice from an Aberdeen fan perspective about this Stephen Glass error. I call it an error. It didn't even last a year, so was it really an error, or was it more like a pit stop? But regardless, Stephen Glass has left the club, and if you want to do a bit of comparison to Stephen Glass and Derek McInnes, if you want to say that they're both useless, then that is just not true. Let's look at Stephen Glass's record as Aberdeen manager. Oh, this is his all-time record, all games included, all competitions. 41 games played, 14 wins, 7 draws, 20 losses. He scored 52 goals in his time, but conceded 56. So even his goal difference was minus. He even had a negative goal difference. And his win percentage was 34.15. So just over winning 1 in every 3 games. For a club the size of Aberdeen, simply not good enough. Whereas you look at Derek McInnes' Aberdeen record, he had 378 games played, 202 wins, 75 draws and 101 losses, which equals out at 53.44%. So Derek McInnes was winning more than 1 every 2 games. He was winning more than half his games as Aberdeen manager, which is a very strong record, which is a good record. They wanted to complain about Derek McInnes. When he was there, Aberdeen never finished outside the top 4. Most seasons were finished second, but they never finished outside the top 4. They did okay in the cup runs. They probably underachieved a wee bit, but I mean, they did win a cup. They won the Scottish League Cup. They got to a couple of cup finals, and they were regularly making quarter-final appearances, making semi-finals appearances. Unlike this year, where they've been humped out by Motherwell, and to be fair, at least under Derek McInnes, you always felt like Aberdeen could go on and win a trophy, they could win a cup, they could compete for a cup. You never really felt that under Glass, and you felt like going into the Motherwell game, it was probably Motherwell were the favourites to win that. And in the end, they did win it. Now, let's have a look at the league form this season. I don't know how he made it, honestly, till the 9th, whenever he made it to, the 12th of February, whatever today's date is. If we look at it, yeah, they started the season not bad. They picked up 2 wins for 2, 6 points out of 6, right? That is no bad. But if you look at their from September 11th through to October 16th, they lost 5 games in a row. Away to Motherwell 2-0. They lost at home to St Johnstone, who are absolutely shocking. They lost to St Mirren away. They lost at home to Celtic, and then they went to Dens Park and lost. So that was 5 defeats in a row. Honestly, not quite sure how he kept this job after that one. Then it went on to lose more games and more games. Then the only decent run he's had this season was the month of December. Now, I've talked about this in a previous video. Aberdeen had 5 league games in December, and he won 4 of them, right? That does sound pretty good. And if he could win 4 games out of every 5, Stephen Glass would be the best manager ever, and he'd be lifting titles, right? If he could do that, that's what he'd be doing. But let's have a closer look at who he won against. Pittodrie, 1st of December, he beats Livingston 2-0. Livingston at home, you should be beating Livingston at home, so no-brainer. Next game, they beat St Mirren 4-1 at home. Again, St Mirren can sometimes be good, sometimes be not too good. I like Jim Goodwin, but at home against St Mirren, you would expect to win that game. Then they beat St Johnstone, bottom of the league. St Johnstone 1-0 at McDiarmid Park. Now, Aberdeen, yes, in recent history have struggled against St Johnstone, but can we all admit that St Johnstone are having a shocker this season? And I don't think beating St Johnstone is anything to brag about, because, come on, they're bottom of the league, they're doing shite, they've lost key players, and Callum Davidson's not producing the miracles he did last year. So beat Aberdeen beating them doesn't really do much for me. And then on the 26th of December, at home, again, keep in mind this is 3 home games out of the 4 that they won, they beat Dundee. Again, I think at Pittodrie, I think at home you should be beating Dundee, who are now, I think they're currently bottom now. It's either them or St Johnstone, but both those teams are shite. My point being is, they've had 3 home games in December against Livingston, St Mirren and Dundee. I think you should be winning those games. The other game, the game that they lost, was against Hibs at Easter Road, which you could argue, is obviously the toughest game there, and that was the game they came unstuck in. So, that's the only decent spell that he had, and then he didn't win another game in the league since that win against Dundee on the 26th of December. Since then, it's been the 1-1 draw with Rangers, 1-0 defeat to St Mirren, a 1-1 draw with County, a 2-1 defeat to Livingston, then that 3-2 defeat to Celtic. So, to me, it's absolutely no surprise that he has been let go. Just was not good enough. The results were not good enough. Even in Europe, got to the playoff round after getting a pretty easy draw. Got Karabakh. I had a wee bit of optimism. I thought maybe Aberdeen can do this. Maybe they can beat Karabakh. It would have been an upset. I'm not going to deny that. But I think on paper, there's no reason why Aberdeen couldn't compete with Karabakh. They lose 1-0 away from home in the opening tie, and you're thinking that, still in the balance, they can still do this after losing in Baku. 18 minutes into the game at Pittodrie and it was over. Karabakh were 2-0 up, 3-0 in aggregate, and the match was done. So, not good there. And then obviously, in this cup, they didn't do good. The Scottish League Cup was embarrassing. We all know they got knocked out by Raith Rovers 2-1. That was the first time they entered. They didn't enter it until the second round, and then they got pumped out in the second round. The first, so not good there. And then in the Scottish Cup, they had a 3-0 win over Edinburgh City. I mean, if you can't beat Edinburgh City, then you're really struggling. And then they followed that up with the 2-1 defeat to Motherwell. So there you go, guys. That's Stephen Glass's season this year. The numbers don't lie. It's been a shocking season, and I'm actually surprised he's been given this long. I know him and the manager's friends, but come on, Stephen Glass is simply not good enough. And I feel sorry for Derek McKenzie. I mean, the guy was good, and he got hounded out of the club. And these Aberdeen fans, be careful what you wish for, because you wanted McKenzie out, you got McKenzie out, and then what did you get? You got a pile of shite that had no business being Aberdeen manager. And Aberdeen have now went backwards. There's no denying it. Sitting 9th in the Scottish Premiership. 9th. I mean, never mind a battle for, a top 4 or trying to get a European spot. They could be trying to avoid a relegation spot at the end of the season if they keep this form up. But anyway, guys, that's it from Fog Football. Stephen Glass has been sacked as Aberdeen manager. And we'll see who's going to replace them. There's been a few names already that have been put out there. We've had the likes of Neil Lennon, who I think would be a decent choice, to be fair. And we've also had former Hibernian manager Jack Ross. 2 decent. I think Jack Ross, I think he got the short end of the stick. I mean, you got to remember, a large portion of his Hibernian, managerial run was actually alright. I mean, towards the end this season, they did come a bit unstuck. I'm not going to deny that, but it wasn't like his whole Hibs managerial run was a complete shocker. He did do good at the start, just had a bad run this year. Unfortunately for him, it cost him his job. But do I think Jack Ross could do some good at Pittodrie? Maybe he could. Another name that's been talked about, Jim Goodwin, the St Mirren manager. Again, I'm actually impressed with Jim Goodwin. I think he's done a good job at St Mirren, and maybe he could do an even better job at Aberdeen, where they would have more finances. Maybe they would back him. He'd be, just better players to work with. And it would be interesting to see how Jim Goodwin would go on at Aberdeen. But that's a video for a different time, guys. That is probably make a video tomorrow on who I think will be the next Aberdeen manager. And we'll look at the participants, we'll look at the candidates, and we'll see who is best suited and who's most likely to get that role. But that's going to do it, guys, for this video. Stephen Glass is out. The glass has shattered. Broken glass lying all around Aberdeen. The place is in pieces. The question is now, though, who's going to come on and pick those pieces up and try and glue them back together. That's it, guys. Till next time, thanks for watching. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and peace.